No. So,
Oh,
So was he sitting next to them or something, or what
yeah,
did he
she
do?
was sitting on the aisle. He was sitting by the window. He was an old man, like in his 60s. And he started crying, and he told him, shut that little
Kid.
no, used the N-word because
Oh.
the woman was white, but the child was
The color
mixed.
it was
You know,
what?
like,
Half
Mulatto,
yeah, he was
A
half,
mulatto.
half white.
yeah. And he said, shut that little, and
Yeah.
slapped him, yeah, he used the N-word. And
How-
slapped him across the face.
Were the people
Well,
around
did
that
they stop the
reacted?
airplane?
What did you think he was? Well, anyway, there was a marshal on the plane.
Oh, was there a marshal?
So he was probably
Yeah.
prejudiced, he was probably aggravated because the child was mixed, and he was probably all kinds of stuff.
Well, he's in
Well,
trouble
that's-
now.
I just-
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that they have it on film and the fact that, you know, that's recorded, that's kind of like child abuse records of any sort, because that stuff goes on in this world by the tens of thousands, and we don't hear nothing about it in cultures that are absolutely, you know, not that I'm taking away from that, but I think what bothers me is that I don't really have an appreciation for this condition of humanity, and so what I do is roll over and take a nap, because I don't know what to do about it.
Well, I probably got up and smacked him.
Well,
As a- as a-
I have-
as a
I
mother,
have-
would-
I have-
yeah.
I have told parents.
she was scared
this
to
is
death.
good.
The lady was scared
Yeah.
of her? I would have beat the crap out
Who
of
was
her.
scared to death, mother?
The mother?
I hope she rang for the stewards.
Well, the air marshal was there. Just happened to be like sitting close by and he saw it. So they arrested him.
Good. He deserves that and more. He deserves to accidentally fall wherever he's at.
Yeah.
Is this my brush? Okay, it's my time to leave. It's nacho night.
Is it nacho
Oh, is it time
night?
for you to leave?
Nacho night,
It's
yeah.
nacho night.
Gotta put gas in my vehicle.
Oh,
And it's probably getting cooler outside.
It is.
Yeah, so we're afraid of
It's cold outside?
getting cooler. I think we're supposed to get ready.
I don't think I brought my jacket in, I left it in the car. That's all right, I'll appreciate it when I get out there warm.
You'll say, ooh, I did need it.
Where is that jacket?
It's hiding where it's not it's gonna keep anybody warm anyway. Okay, ladies. Nice seeing all of you for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'll see you Miss Rheda next week and Ricky.
Okay, I need some,
Adios.
flesh.
Adios, que es adios?
Goodbye.
Okay.
No, it doesn't mean with God?
Oh, up here?
Well,
Yeah.
adios
Is that flesh?
usually
I
just
guess.
means goodbye,
Goodbye.
but when you
Yeah.
say adios, that you separate it to God. Dios is God, so
Dios, yeah.
if you say adios, it's not God.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
goodbye.
Adios.
Adios.
That's why they say, vaya con Dios.
Vaya
Go
con
with-
Dios.
Vaya con Dios. Go with God.
We had a heck of a time finding Texas.
She said, see you ladies,
Did
you
you,
know,
you didn't find it
She never
easily
did
from
say-
my description?
say like,
Yeah, after
she said my name, but you know, she never,
But we've
still
got
like
two
just grouped me in with the ladies, you know.
GPSs, right? We didn't have one of them with us.
Ah!
But then, like, when we were leaving, that's when we discovered all you have to do is turn down El Dorado.
And get on the feeder.
No, like, when you get to that intersection, you just turn, and then you take the next left,
And it goes into
and
there.
it takes you right there. Instead of going down and turning in, you just turn on El Dorado,
Yeah.
and then on the next
That's
one.
what I didn't say, because the first one takes you into the, Bay Area, you know, things.
Anyway, we found it eventually. I said, see, on Valentine's, he took me to this really
Yeah, how did that
fancy
go?
restaurant. It was really fancy. Well, when
Did you wear cocktail clothes?
I wore a shirt and a red skirt, and he wore a suit and a red tie.
Did he?
Yeah. So anyway, I
Yeah, you had to wear Valentine's stuff, didn't
Right.
you?
So I programmed the GPS right with the address, but I put in, he said it was 4100 Westheimer, and I put 1400.
And where did you end up? Wrong end of the pub.
Right, so the wrong, so he said, I said, oh my God, I put the wrong, so then I redid it again, and this time instead of like 4100, I put 14,000. And next time we ended at Joe's.
Where did y'all go?
Not Greek, what was it?
It was supposed to be an Indian restaurant, but nothing, I don't think anything we had was Indian, but it was really.
What did
good.
you have?
Well, it was like a 4 or 5 course meal.
Wow. What, did you choose steak or what?
No. It was
Well, of
already-
course you didn't.
No.
You just had vegetables.
Well, I know I had fish. But it started off with soup, but it wasn't a bowl of soup, it was a little bitty cup, like the size of an egg
Well, now
cup,
that sounds Indian.
with a little handle, and this little piece, kind of like, it was a triangle, kind of like pizza. It was a bread, and it had seasonings in it. Oh, it was really good. The soup, I could have drunk a big cup. It was the best soup I ever.
What was it? What kind of soup?
Oh, I can't remember.
As a name you'd never seen before.
I probably had. I just can't remember what it was called. But it was some kind of tomato soup. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But next, what's next? Oh, it was a smoked poached salmon.
Now see, this is, misty, you know, like
That's looking pretty good, Gene.
clouds down
Sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you fiddle with it now. You see, though you use the brush like this thingy, you don't use it like that because see, if you have some darks and lights, it looks more rugged, crevicey.
Okay.
But
So
that always-
then they bought us this raspberry sorbet.
Oh, I love sorbet.
Raspberry what?
Sorbet.
Sorbet.
And then came the main course. I had fish and he had the rack of lamb. And he said that was the best meat he's ever eaten. So he wants to pick up the bone, and I said, do not pick up that bone and chew on it. Because this was a really, really fancy restaurant. And you got done with one course, they were right there with the next.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, they were watching. And that was the best service, you know. So he said, oh, come on, baby, there's still meat left on here. I said, do not pick it up. I said, you are not a brother-in-law's barbecue now.
Oh, goodness.
Joe's Crab Shack.
Roz, y'all live in Channelview now, come on. I mean, Texas is kind of, you know, I mean, you can live in Pasadena or Baytown or Channelview or Highlands.
Or Dipmar.
or Deer Park. Yeah. Or you can live in the nicer part of town. Or Galena Park. Galena Park is another one too. Galena Park, Jacinta City.
She used to live in Galena Park.
I got put in jail in Galena Park.
Oh, I thought that was a verb.
Yeah.
I did. Wiped it right off of there.
Yeah.
We went to a ball game at the Astrodome or somewhere. When we left, we had a couple of Schlitz beers in the back seat that had been out there in a 110-degree car all day, or I don't know what they were, and I drank one of them.
Whoa.
That made me sick.
By the time I got to Galena Park, I went through the tunnel, and when you go through the tunnel into Galena Park, they're always running a speed trap right on the other side of the railroad tracks. I was airborne when I hit those railroad tracks.
Who's driving?
I was.
Ricky.
And when Scotty was with me, so I must have been about 30 by then, 20, I don't know how old I was. But anyway, they arrested us, and Scotty was like, oh man, Scotty had been arrested several times. I'd never been arrested. I was telling those cops I ain't never been arrested before and stuff, so they unhandcuffed me. They put my hands in front of me.
Did they handcuff you again?
Yeah, but they just barely put the handcuffs on, and then when they put me in the cell, they didn't even shut the door. And then they called my mom.
You didn't cry, did you?
I don't remember. And they called.
You might have, son.
No, I didn't cry, but I might as well have, because the way I was carrying on, I've never been put in jail before. And they called you to come get me, and you came down there and got me. They just let me go. Didn't even charge me.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
Well, yeah, I remember going to get you because you're right, you've never done that before.
She put
I
it
used
out
to
of
work
her
for
mind,
Galena
but
Park
she
all
doesn't
the time.
remember that.
I used to work for Galena Park District,
For what?
For the police
for the
department?
police department in Galena Park.
Did you?
I was a dispatcher. And one Sunday it was like, I guess it was Saturday night, Sunday morning. This kid shot his stepfather
You've already shot him?
while he was asleep on the couch. Shot him
Oh.
And, because he'd get drunk, he was passed out.
I remember that. I believe I remember that. He was mean to his mother and
Yeah, he
to
was
the kid's
abusive.
mother. Yeah.
And while he was asleep on the couch, he shot him. Well, I was working there then.
What year was that?
It was in the 70s.
Well, I lived in Galena Park well, I got divorced in '81, so I guess it was in the '80s when I lived there.
Yeah, it was always quiet in Galena Park, you know? Nothing ever happened.
Even so now, though.
They had a terrible road. Is Galena Park just the other side of the tunnel?
Yeah.
I hated that tunnel road. It was a bad road, wasn't it?
If you went fast enough, you could get airborne, you wouldn't feel it. It was just smooth as
Yeah,
silk.
well, I didn't go that fast,
Then why does she drive that fast now?
Yeah.
What'd she say?
Why do you drive that fast now?
She just wants to see if you
Gene, I'm gonna
back
hit
against-
you. I thought you were my friend. I only, whatever the
she's
speed
your friend
limit
from
is, I
Mom?
fudge about
She's your friend
5
from
to
Deer
8
Park.
miles.
That's what I'm trying to explain to Ross a while ago, you
A
know?
lot of
It's just a
places
Texas
it's
thing, you just.
75.
I know your feet just get heavier and heavier. We're on State
Or
Farm
82.
Safe Driver Program because our
Man, I
cars
used to work for,
got,
his mom
uh,
got a ticket.
Sirius
for
radio or whatever you want to call, whatever it is we have on that. North
Oh,
Star.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the elderly lady.
Anyway,
And this is a, you know.
and they keep saying,
Quite a
oh my
few
gosh, you
years
got to run
back.
the speed limit.
We were
Well, they
like,
don't know what the
Oh, right,
speed
no.
limit is, but your GPS does. It's like, why is it?
But
It's
she-
like, okay,
she-
we're not
did
gonna
they
give
take her to
you know,
jail?
us more money.
I don't know that, I don't know if they did or not, but we just thought that was so funny, we were just cheering her on. She was probably 75, I think.
That's supposed to be dark as skin.
And that's what she was doing, 75.
Well, that's not why you were working there, huh?
No, it was my second job.
We might have to hang this one up. I have a few that I hang up occasionally. My son, I guess, and I even had his framed. I don't know what the deal is. Both of the ones I gave him, they're framed and everything. They still haven't hung them up. And yet he wanted them. I mean, the koala bear, he snatched almost out of my hands to get it. And the,
Really?
oh yeah, he loves that
Well,
koala bear.
did you frame them?
I framed them. That one and the one with the ocean that looks like Hawaii. I mean, you know, like, well, I
When
use it
Ricky
like
was younger,
Hawaii.
no matter how it looked, if it was framed, that was the one he chose.
He's like, hang that thing up. I'm going,
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
That means you didn't want to frame them.
I think that just means you frame the best ones.
I think I'm gonna have to clean out my other dish so that I can clean out this one. I think it's getting.
You know, I should have done this before I got, this in there.
That's a mist back there. That's a haze. What is that?
Yeah.
What the clouds.
Clouds.
You can barely see his eye. Well,
This
if
is the
anybody's
way I soften
interested, Don Piper's gonna be
acrylics.
at our church on
Anytime I
Sunday.
paint wet over.
I don't know what
dry,
that means.
He's the
I
one
treat
that
it
wrote
like
90 Minutes in
acrylics.
Heaven. And Heaven is Real. He actually died and went to heaven.
There's a, you know, the thing about, now there are so many people that have successful ministries and they're fantastic authors and what have you, that,
See how the cloud comes down
this,
into the mountain a little bit?
this one pastor that's taking
Yeah.
over this church, him and his
I'm not
wife
necessarily gonna do that, but.
have a ministry,
we will if
and
you
their name
get there
is,
and decide you
is
want
part
it
of the-
right.
the name of the ministry, you know.
Right.
But I never heard of them before. I didn't have a clue who they were. I had to do some research, find out who are you guys, you know.
Well,
Well,
this
come to
guy
find out,
actually lives in Pasadena. He is from Pasadena. There's a bridge between, coming down, it's the old bridge now, coming from Trinity, Texas, down to Livingston. It's the old Highway 141 or something like that. I can't remember what the name of that highway is. Anyway, this bridge was one of the old ones built in the 30s, trestle bridge type thing. Very narrow, but the road's kind of a little bit wider. And he had just come back, he was coming back from a conference at Trinity Pines, which is a Baptist retreat center anyway. And he had left, and he normally didn't go that way. He normally went up over and went to Livingston and then down 59, but he decided he'd go back down this way, down 45, back into Houston. And he was going across the bridge, and almost got to the end of the bridge, and there was an 18-wheeler coming the other direction, and it was actually driven by a trustee from the prison. And the prison guards were in behind, because they were trusting him to drive the truck, okay? And he hit him head on and literally ran up on the car and squashed the car flat. Like, flat.
Oh, God.
And anyway, the prison guards got out and jumped out and everything, and they called up, you know, the ambulances and whatever, and they all showed up. Anyway, there was about 3 other cars involved in the accident after that, and it's like, you know, kind of a thing. And so when they got there, when the ambulance people got there, and the guards had already gone over and looked, and they said, oh, this guy's dead. And then the paramedics got there, and they got the truck off, and they could see, well, he's all squashed up under there, you know. And they tried to check his pulse and all that, and they didn't have any pulse, and he wasn't breathing, and he was turned blue and all that. It was, okay, he's dead. And then they went back a little bit and checked again, no signs of life or anything. And people by then were stopping on the side of the road, so they literally covered the car up with a tarp so that people quit staring, you know, and maybe get on their way and drive on by. Anyway, one of the other preachers by this time had came down that way, and he stopped, you know, and it was like traffic backed up to wherever, you know. And he decided to walk down to see if there was something he could do, you know. And he walked down, he says, I'm a pastor, is there anything I can do? And they said, no. He said, oh, what about the man over there? Or what about the person over there? And they said, well, he's dead. And he kind of stood there a minute, and he said, I think God wants me to go pray for him. He said, well, he's dead. But he said, I still think I need to go pray for him. And I mean, you know, they kind of had a little argument about whether he should go and pray for him. And so finally the guy said, okay, you know, go pray for him. So they lifted the thing up, and he went, you know, he actually crawled into the car where he could get closer, and he said, wasn't breathing and couldn't feel any pulse or anything. And he started praying, and he just kept praying and praying. And after a little while, he started to sing. And I'm trying to think of the name of the song he sang. I think it's What a Friend We Have in Jesus. But I'm not going to swear what song it was. But anyway, he started singing, and when he started singing, and after he got through, he started over again. All of a sudden, Don started singing with him. And he goes, what? You know, he goes, and he yells out the car, you know, he says, he's alive, he's alive. And they say, he can't be alive. We've already checked him, we've done his blood pressure, we've checked all his pulses, all that. He's dead. He said, no, he's alive. I'm telling you, he's alive. You need to come and check him. And so they finally, one of them, you know, it's like, oh my word, you know, what's going on? You know how people are. So anyway, he walked over, and he was going, he called back at the other one. He is alive. Well, they couldn't get him out of the thing. Then they had to call for the jaws of life to come and rip the car apart to get him out. But he was, theoretically, he was dead for 90 minutes. And in that 90 minutes, that's when he went to heaven. He went to heaven as soon as the truck hit him. He said that's the last thing he remembered was he was crossing the bridge, and then he was in heaven, you know. And he kept this to himself, because when he woke up, he's still all crushed up into pieces and all of this kind of stuff. He stayed in the hospital almost 4 months. And
Wow.
he's had, I don't know how many surgeries he's had. His whole thigh and leg was crushed and whatever. And at the time that this happened, which was in 85, 86, somewhere towards the ends of 85, or above. But anyway, he had that first, and you probably see people walking around with them now. They have those external fixators where they actually have the metal thing on the outside. And what they're doing is keeping the bone pulled apart because there's bone missing, and letting the cells actually regenerate between the two. And they had to start off very, very little, then they pull it back and they extend it, and they pull it back and pull it back and pull it back. Well, it's extremely painful. It's not a fun thing to go through, but anyway, he's had all kinds of different things. But because he's had that before, he was one of the first, probably about 4th or 5th person in the United States that ever had the fixator on. And I can remember when I saw the first fixator on, oh my gosh, it's like Frankenstein. I mean, that's what it looks like. Bolts here, bolts there, and they got things, and they literally bolted into the leg, into the bone, and then work it apart so that it grows. It doesn't, and they're doing it now on kids that are like extra short or whatever, they break the bone and pull it apart so they can get a little bit taller.
This pastor that I was telling you about, ever since he was a child, has been a faith healer. And he has prayed for people with broken bones and felt the bones
Go knit back together.
right there in his hands.
He did that the first time when he's 8 years old. His grandmother. Right.
I don't remember all the stories. He told several. I don't remember. But he's prayed for dead people that have come back to life. He's prayed for all kinds of people with all kinds of illnesses. I never heard of the guy. I didn't have a clue who he was.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. A lot of people don't know who he is because he just doesn't go out and go, "Hi, I'm the guy that died for 90 minutes." I mean, he doesn't do that. I mean, he didn't.
But that's
he
a
didn't
powerful
tell
testimony, you know. I mean,
yeah,
I
well, he
would
didn't
think-
even tell anyone
Yeah.
really that. I think he told his wife or whatever, but anyway, that this had happened because he said it was too
Unbelievable.
personal. Yeah, and it was too personal
Oh.
to him, you know. And then he decided he would tell, and then they said, "Well, you need to tell that story."
Well,
And he
yes, because
goes, yeah.
God does things.
That
God
pastor
does
is in
things like
Pasadena.
that, not
The
just.
pastor I'm telling you about is in Pasadena.
Well, see, this was said. He goes to First Baptist Pasadena now. That's where Don's at now. But anyway, his daughter is at our church. She sings in the choir. But he got this other guy to help him write the book because he says, "I'm not a writer per se." He says, "I can tell you the story, but I don't know how to put it in." And you can tell
I
that
don't
it's
like
got
this.
a ghostwriter or whatever you
Can
want
we
to call
make
him.
up something?
But anyway, he
That's ugly, isn't it?
after he started telling people, it was
Do whatever you want on your picture, Mama.
Is that her picture?
Yeah.
No, I'm supposed to do something she wants to do.
But anyway, he
Well, if you're gonna tell her it's ugly, I mean, good grief.
he doesn't
Talking about-
ask for any. If if you want you to come to you, he doesn't ask for anything. He does bring his book. If you want to buy the books, you can buy the books. If you don't want to buy the books, you don't have to buy the books.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
mean, he
have a
doesn't,
yellow green.
But he still goes. He's been pastor of several churches around.
You
One
have
in
yellow
Alvin. Several different ones. But then he started. He's physically. In fact, he's and right now
This
he's
has to be
actually
Hooker
being
Green.
one of the
Why
characters
would
in one
you
of the
put
plays
that
in the Art Park Players in Deer Park.
I don't know.
And
I'm just popping
and that's
on.
because he knows the director and all that kind of stuff. But anyway,
Okay, when this is gone, get Van Gogh.
he shares the story when he feels like he should be shared. And if somebody calls him or somebody says, "Hey, this happened," and whatever,
Make a list.
people email
There you
him
go.
and all of that kind of stuff, and he always
That's
answers them
absolutely.
back. But he said he says, I was a good pastor. I ministered to people and all of that. He said, but God wanted me to learn something else. And he says, the hardest thing for me to learn, and it took me a long time, he said, and I think that's why he wanted me to suffer pain and whatever part of it was because I didn't know how to ask people for help. I was the helper. Yeah, and a lot of times we do that, "Oh, well, do you need any help? Just call me." "Oh, no, I don't need any help." And it's like they don't tell you that. We got a lady in our Sunday school class that she said no so many times it was like, okay, what are we gonna do? You just go over there. And so literally they did that one day. They stuck a meal over because she was just continuously saying she did, and then you find out, yeah, they needed stuff. They just didn't know how to ask for it and didn't know, "Oh no, I don't want to bother you" type of thing,
That's
And
why-
he says, all of a sudden here I am, I depend on everybody to do everything for me. I mean, I couldn't move anything. Everybody was doing everything. Wasn't paralyzed. And he said, and in the book that I'm reading that's by him now, he was saying, he says, I had thoughts of suicide because, it's like I can't handle this anymore. And he had to work through all of those.
I made $80,000 in '89, and then I was on disability in '90.
Didn't work a lot of the
Lost
year.
my driver's license.
Yeah, and it's well, that's what I said. Sometimes God he just takes you and goes pow pow pow. You wake up. This is the way I'm going to wake you up.
Yeah.
It's not because he doesn't love you. He actually loves you more.
Well,
But-
he chides what do you call it? Punishes them,
Yeah.
the ones he loves.
Yeah, because he wants you to understand. That's why I was saying that girl that we heard at our Valentine's thing, I guess, Doris maybe told you some of the stuff. I mean, she was a prostitute. I mean, she was a high-paid mistress. She wouldn't tell us who the
Well, some of the
high-powered
Bible
man
stories,
in
some of the
Houston that
specific
she
Bible
was the
stories were
mistress
Jesus
to.
dealing with prostitutes, right?
But he was very
One.
high up. And this girl
I
is
need
very,
some
very
sour
beautiful,
cream.
and all of a sudden, you know, it was like,
I
and
need some sour cream.
she met a professor from A&M that actually started going, and she actually they fell in love with each other. They did. But he finally came to her and told her, he says, God has not told me I can marry you. He says, I can't marry you. He says, someone else is going to come into your life. And she didn't get married, I guess, until she was like 40. And I mean, she's gorgeous, but you know, she was telling us, you know, she says, and she said even after she got saved, she said
Okay,
even
hold on,
then,
I'm
she
gonna
says,
take
I
it
had to
out
fight
for you.
demons. She said, literally fight demons. I was laying in my bed and couldn't get out of
No,
my
I
bed,
guess
and the
that's all
demons
right.
were attacking me. She said, I could smell their breath, I could smell them touching, feel them touching me, and she said, and I couldn't move. She said, and you know, you sit there and you go, well, when you've been that far under, I mean, she, you know, did drugs, and she overdosed once, and she lived up in, up by Katy, I'm trying to think of a little town, anyway, up by Katy anyway. She lived up there, nobody knew what she did. And then when they found out what she did, it was like, whoa, wow, we're not gonna take you in our society anymore. And I mean, she'd been into everything when she was there. And then they found out, well, yeah, the reason she can do all this is because this high-powered person is giving her all this money and making her, you know, she said she flew all over the world. She did all kinds of things. She said, but we never
Hostess.
traveled together.
Hostess, that's what they call
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Never traveled together. He would get on the plane first or last or whatever, you know. He'd sit in first class. I'd sit way in the back, and, you know, and all of this to meet up. Now, you know, what a life. You know, but now that, you know, she lives in Kilgore, and she has her ministry now that she does, and what she does is she likes to go where young people are, so she can tell them, you don't have to do this. You can make your life without doing all of this. You know, she says, but she came from a little town outside Carthage, and she said they were dirt poor and whatever, and they came to Houston. She and her dad and mother got a divorce, and she came with her mother to Houston, and this was like, wow, Wonderland. And she just wonderland right on up the line. Didn't graduate from high school.
You know what this is?
Had abortions,
No,
of
it looks
course.
like it's like a
You know,
baby.
I mean, just, I said,
That's what that kind of looks like.
you just
That's,
all the things that people
This
go
can't
through,
be
you
a
just don't
waterfall
even
'cause
know
it's
what
higher.
they go through
If there's any
sometimes.
place lower than the water,
No,
it will go.
one
You
of
know
a friend of
what I
mine
mean?
and I have talked a lot lately about
Well,
you know,
we'll
we are-
work on it. We'll make
our
it
nature is
something you'll
to
like.
look at somebody and have an opinion,
We may put water.
and we don't know what
there.
anybody's been through. And that's why the Bible teaches us that we don't know the heart, God knows the heart, so we can't judge. Even though it seems obvious when you look at them that what they're about, you don't have a clue.
Yeah,
They might look wonderful, they might look flawless, they might look perfect, or they might look like they're just absolutely worthless. But either way, you don't really know. If they might look absolutely worthless and have the heart of gold, they might look like just absolutely perfect and be just as vile and evil as.
oh, I've seen, having worked in the hospital and stuff, I've seen a lot of cases of abuse and stuff that were, you want to just kill the people. 'Cause
Yeah.
they, you know.
Oh, my.
Our clock is running long.
The other day we saw this man sitting on the side of the road, you know, begging. He only had one leg. He was in a wheelchair.
Where was that at?
can't remember where we were. And I told Bowie, I says, give him some money. But, you know, the ones I hate is to have the little sign, you know, Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
Which they're probably crooks and, you know, they just
Yeah,
trying
they
to,
probably don't go to church.
right, they probably don't even go to church.
Yeah, Jesus does love me.
And, but he had a sign that said, just trying to survive.
He's telling the truth.
Say
Yeah.
what?
Just
Just trying to
Well,
survive.
you know what they do down in the Keys, don't you? They got a sign that says, I need a beer.
What? Hey,
You know, and then,
you'd be more likely to get one, too.
so we gave him $2.
Oh, yeah, people down there having a good time, so like, here, I'll buy you a beer. Well, they good enough money to buy food? Well,
You better go over and
Yeah.
start cleaning up everything I'm not using.
I don't, I pass up a lot
You
of
better
those
come
people,
clean up
Roz,
some of your stuff.
but it makes me feel bad when I do, but I know by experience that you just can't, you really can't really tell by looking at them who's for real and who's,
Right.
you know.
There used to be this couple that was always standing at the side of the road, you know, and they'd take their baby out there too.
Well, I love the one where the 3-year-old granddaughter was selling cocaine for the grandmother. And they hanged that one, and the 3-year-old was making correct change. And that was true, that was, they were on the street, they people coming by because they knew that the kid had the, and then, how many police are gonna really come out there, they'll say, move along, but, you know, the grandmother was selling cocaine. Giving it to the child to take over and get the money.
To deliver.
When they finally figured it out, I'm like,
That's pretty, you know,
kill them.
that's pretty low, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that poor little kid, you know, what could it,
Listen, they're in the Philippines, in Manila, they have street gangs
yeah,
of
5 years.
4 to 8 years old that are abandoned. They're abandoned children, and they form street gangs to survive.
And they
See,
stick
that happened in
together.
Brazil too. Oh, I forgot about that.
So, that's what I was saying earlier, is we focus
I'll tell you
on the
what.
one impressive story
That- I
that we
wish I
hear.
could finish
We
this,
don't really appreciate the
while that's
magnitude.
wet,
Of the,
but
Of-
I'll
of
figure
the
out the
world,
way to make
of
it look
reality,
right
you know,
next
of-
week. And then we'll put
what does that look like
from,
from here? That looks
after we
terrible.
get that dark in.
Huh?
Oh, from here, this doesn't look right.
It looks all right.
And we
It's all
may,
right from,
we may work
Let it- let it-
modify
let it-
looks
this.
all right from,
Let it
From
sit.
here,
It looks
it
good,
is.
don't worry about it. It looks
There
good.
was a,
picture upside
What
down.
happened?
I was reading.
Oh, nothing, I had started up in here and started doing it, and then I was looking at it upside down, it looks bad, and I go, but it looks all right this direction. See, I
Yeah,
started
yeah.
up here, kinda